ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another YouTube video. I have a lot of silver action for you guys, and here's an awesome lot that I picked up for just $25. Here you see a lot of goodies, a lot of different varieties, and a good amount of silver, for only 25 bucks. So I have a little history open here, and I did a little research before I pressed record for this video. And I'm going to first talk about that one right there. It's the 1892 N/93. So that's what I'm going to read. I have the 1892 version, Columbian Exposition $half, which is actually the first commemorative $half ever produced, first commemorative coin ever produced in the United States. So I'm going to read this, and I'm learning this new information of the coin as I go also. So here it is. As the first commemorative $half struck, the Columbian Exposition $half holds a special place in the long and historic commemorative series. From the first proof striking that sold for $10,000 in 1892. No, I'm sorry. The first specimen struck was bought for $10,000 by the firm that made Remington typewriters. Remington, probably the gun company also as a publicity stunt, and the final 1893 business strike commemorative Columbian halves were popularly collected at the time and in the 100 years since. In August 1892, Congress specially authorized the coinage of 5 million Columbian Exposition $half for sale during the 1892 World's Columbian Exposition to honor the 400th anniversary of Columbus' discovery of the New World. This was the first of the great World's Fairs to be honored with a commemorative coin. The first issue was dated 1892. The exposition was scheduled to open in Chicago in October 1892, but did not open until May 1893, at which time additional coins bearing this new date were struck. The obverse features the bust right of Christopher Columbus. The Columbian Exposition $half was originally supposed to be made by U.S.J. Dunbar. His design was based on a portrait painted by Lorenzo Lotto of Columbus in 1512. The U.S. Mint's chief engraver, the man at the time, Charles E. Barber, the man, derailed any attempt by Dunbar from producing the coin and instead took on the project, basing his depiction of Columbus allegedly on a bust made by artist Olin L. Warner. Barber clashed with Exposition officials over the reverse as well, favoring his own design of the Western Hemisphere covering the entire reverse. Exposition officials wanted a depiction of Columbus's flagship, Santa Maria, poised over two globes. Seeking to absolve himself of the argument, Barber delegated the task to his assistant engraver, George T. Morgan, to design the reverse. By the time a further quantity had been coined in 1893, public demand for the Columbian Exposition $half had lessened. An unknown quantity of $half were used as collateral against loans made to the Exposition by banks. When the Exposition failed to repay the debits, the bank dumped the coins into circulation. A mere 104 proofs are believed to have been struck of the 1892 Columbian Exposition $half, represented by the first 101 coins produced in addition to the 400th, 1492nd, and 1892nd pieces. So there's the commemorate there. This coin was made in 1892. Isn't that cool? This coin's well over 100 years old, with the commemorating 400 years from 1492 to 1892. With the discovery of the New World. So that's just me speaking. Let me go back to the article. Despite the significance of Columbian Exposition $half proof strikings have been largely overlooked and were often mishandled by recipients, most likely dignitaries of the Exposition and perhaps a few higher-ups in Washington, D.C. So important people. 1892 issue. The first $half was struck at the Philadelphia Mint in November 1892. A total of 950,000 coins were minted there, with an unknown number reserved for assay. It is believed that none were melted. They were distributed by the world's Columbian, Exposition, and Chicago banks, which sold them for $1 each. So even back then, these were $1 each, which was a lot of money in 1892. So that's the little paragraph there for 1892. Now there's a little paragraph here for the 1893 issue, which it will tell you that a lot of them were melted. So the Philadelphia Mint began production of 1893 dated Columbian commemorative half dollars on January 3rd of that year. A grand total of 4,052,105 pieces were produced, including 2,100 coins for assay purposes. But sales were nowhere near the levels hoped for by government officials. The mint destroyed all of the unsold coins that amounted to 2.5 million and some odd coins, which were melted. We note that some of the examples that managed to avoid melting were placed into circulation. Even so, the 1893 Columbian is not a rare coin in the lower and middle mint state grades. It is only above the gem level that this issue assumes an aura of questionable rarity. So basically, you'd have to have the top quality mint coin for it to be rare, and that's for the 1893. Like all coins that came from, an early time. If they achieve a high grade, the rarer they become and the more expensive as well. So we note that some of the examples, circulation, even so, okay, not rare. About the exposition itself. So here we go. So it was a huge exposition. Actually, there's a picture of it right there. Isn't that cool? So that's the exposition. Origins of the World's Columbian Exposition can be seen in 1876 Centennial Exhibition in Philadelphia. Okay, so it was taking place in Philadelphia, but Chicago banks also had these coins. Okay, so origins in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia event marked the first large-scale effort of this kind in the United States as early as 1880. Advocates argue that a special exposition should mark the 400th anniversary of Columbus sailing to the New World. By 1888, the movement gained enough momentum to begin being taken seriously by the public and by government officials. Early on, St. Louis was a leader for the site location. By 1889, public opinion and individual efforts had mobilized enough support to launch the new exposition. Contenders for the massive exposition site included St. Louis, Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C. in an effort to woo the U.S. Congress to select their city. Chicago businesses raised $5 million to pledge to the fair and promised to double the amount if Chicago was selected. After 8 ballots, Congress finally selected Chicago as the site by a vote of 157 for Chicago, 107 for New York, 25 for St. Louis, and 18 for Washington, D.C. The fair was considered the greatest event of its kind in history. So the design obverse, so the obverse is the front of the coin by Charles E. Barber, the reverse by George T. Morgan. The design's taken from plaster models by Allen L. Warner. So that's pretty cool. Mintage quantity authorized 5 million. Quantity distributed in 1892. 950,000, and in 1893, 1.5 million and some odd. Diameter is 30.6 millimeters round. Weight is 12.5 grams in total. Composition, this is a 90% silver coin, and it does have the remaining 10% copper in it. So it is just like the U.S. Circulated coins, 90%. Up until 1964. Interesting facts. The first specimen struck was bought for $10,000, which we read already, by the firm that made Remington typewriters. 1892/1893 Columbian Exposition half dollars was the first U.S. legal tender coin to bear the portrait of a foreigner. So cool. That's another cool fact. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed the article. And I'd just love to have it here in this little lot. They sell for about half of what I paid for it in circulated condition. I mean, half of what I paid for this entire lot. So I already made half my money back easily on this. And I just like to have it, actually. It's a really cool coin. And I'll just put it with my other commems. And this is the first commemorative. So I do have another interesting coin up to talk about. Let's get the other ones out of the way. As you know, the 40% 1966 JFK half dollar. So this contains 40% silver. We have one of the best of all time, circulated 1942. Is it Philadelphia? Yes. The mint mark would be to the left of $half on the bottom, but there is no mint mark, so that would indicate a Philadelphia strike. So circulated, but that we all know the Walking Liberty $half is really cool, and that's got a really cool date on it. Two Washington quarters, 119. I checked these already. 1941 and 1949. These are Philadelphia coins. This is an awesome 1907 V nickel. So I will flip the V nickel for you because you can actually see all the letters and all the numbers very visible. Not too many dings, so that's really good. And there's actually a few letters on the headdress here, and that actually makes it a decent circulated coin. So 1907, very good date. We have this 1929 Philadelphia Standing Liberty quarter. So that's really cool. And we have this here. You are looking at, let me get a good zoom in, the Royal Wedding, 1964, 30 drachmae silver coin. So here's some facts, the product ID, the year, 1964. So you'll see that on the reverse on the top. So that's a 1964, 30 drachmae. Metal content is 0.3221 troy ounces in silver. A purity is 80%. So this is 80% silver, which is really awesome. I thought it was 83.5, but I think there's another article on that. Thickness is 2.0 millimeters, and there is lettered edge. It's this way. I can't pronounce the words on it, but if anyone is interested, you may do so. And the diameter is 30.3 millimeters. So what we're looking at over here is another coin fact. It's the obverse. It's a commemorative issue of the royal marriage, versus marriage of Constantine and Anne Marie. Lettering, I cannot get all those letters, but in Greek, the translation is Constantine, Anna Maria, kings of Greece. So I'm assuming exactly the way they let us, the internet has it. Constantine, right there. Anna Maria. And then over here it would say kings of Greece. So that's really cool. The reverse is the crown double. Whoops. I'm used to U.S. coins, flipping them and they'd be rotated. Crown double-headed eagle and denomination, which shows 30 drachmae. Lettering 1964, 30, and this lettering here. Lettered edge, comments, 30 drachmae commemorates the royal wedding of Constantine II, King of Greece, and Prince Anne Marie of Denmark in 1964. Coin issued by the National Bank of Greece. So there's a way to tell where these were produced. So there is a mint mark actually located on the bottom. I'm going to zoom in right there. So my version, there's two versions. My version is the one from, there's one from Kongsberg, so the lettering would be to the right on the shoulder. Mine's a little under the Apollo. I can't pronounce it, but mine is the Bern version, Berne. So that is Bern, and then there's another version, the Kongsberg. So basically, it just be shifted a little over to the right. So that is the location on that. And there's a couple more facts to get into. Yeah, so it's 80% silver, and I'm really happy to have it. So that's really cool to add to the collection. So far, we're in 15 minutes. I'm just going to do the last token / medal here. It's really cool. So what you're looking at is something that was produced, I think, in the late 50s / early 60s. It's a token. You may fire when you are ready. Gridley. So it's the U.S.S. Olympia. Really cool. It actually pops out. I don't know if the camera's going to do it, but the U.S.S. Olympia ship from 1892, is it 1890? No, 1898, from 1898, was from the Spanish War, made from Propeller of Admiral Dewey's flagship, which served in the Battle of Manila Bay, May 1898. So this is the actual, this medal was made from the actual propeller of the U.S.S. Olympia, which is really, really cool. Not sure, the internet's not really telling me how many were produced, but it's really pretty cool. A lot of people, a lot of military veterans appreciate this exact token / medal. And it's just really cool that I'm actually holding it. And it's got a flat edge, pretty thick. And that was in the bunch. All of that for $25. I think that was a pretty good deal. Can't complain. I hope you guys learned something out of this. I appreciate the variety here, and I hope you did as well. So I'll see you next time, and have a good day. Later.